Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 390. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Imagine aging in place with dignity and able to pass on generational wealth to your children and grandchildren. Welcome, community activist, bridge builder, and founder and CEO of Grandmama's House. Welcome, Charnette Trimble.
Oh, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes.
I've given our audience such a brief bio, and you have an amazing resume. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you want them to know about you and your business?
Okay, basically, again, like you said, I'm the founder and CEO of Grandmama's House. And what that is we're dedicated to ensuring that seniors are able to age in place with dignity and pass on generational wealth. And what we use is workshops. We use workshops to bring education and awareness to seniors because they're the ones who hold the asset. Your home is your greatest asset. And I was just sick and tired of Black people having to start over again. It's not that we're bad money managers. It's just that we lose. And we have to start over again, and start over again. And I thought to myself, why don't somebody do something about this? Please, somebody do something about this. And I heard this voice said, why don't you do something about this? I'm like, who? Who said that? Where did it come from? It was just as clear as a bell, I promise you. And I'm like, what? Who? Huh? No. Okay. All right. Then I see, and I said, oh, okay, well, I don't even know where to start. But I was a community leader. And I said, well, let me just start walking the community. So it's called canvassing. And so I'm like to say that I'm a streetwalker in the nice sense. But I actually go and went up down streets and with my little clipboard and my tennis shoes and sneakers. And I knocked on people's doors and I said, hi, my name is Charnette. And I'm the president of the community. And I just wanted to introduce myself to you. And I just like to come in and talk to you for a little bit and find out what's going on. And that's how we got to know people and what their needs were. And I kept seeing that homes were in disrepair. And also I was saying, are you being bombarded with people calling you all the time, asking you, do you want to sell your house? And they say, yes, I have a whole stack of them things and postcards. And they call me all hours of the day. They get on my nerve. I said, well, okay. Because I said, I get that too. I realized that my neighborhood was in transition. That's code for beat mamas going out to the burbs. That's what that is. That's what that's the transition, but that's what it means, that grandmama is going to be pushed out to the burbs. That's what transition is, and it's not a good thing. And so I have always had the opinion, just because her last name is not King, Young, or Abernathy, doesn't mean that she has not put down and held this city down too. And I'm referring to Atlanta. She has just put in just as much as she has a right to enjoy the amenities as well as anyone else. And people say, well, gentrification. Gentrification is not a bad thing. I know a lot of people, gentrification, No, it's not. If you do it right. Means that it means that your property values are going up. Okay. When your property values go up, yes, your property taxes go up as well. But you can get more money for your same property if you understand how to work it, and if you understand what its purpose and what it's for. So in Atlanta, it is transition. Atlanta has about 500,000 people in it. The city's leaders are determined to make Atlanta 3 times the size. So it's going to be 1.5 million people living in Atlanta. How in the city proper? How in the world are they going to do that? Well, I'm telling you what's going to do that. And it's kind of not nice, but it is what it is. God ain't making no more dirt. Let's just be honest. He ain't making no more dirt. So, okay, now you're telling me something. Okay. But he ain't making no more dirt. There's grandmama sitting on that nice lot. Then in Atlanta, if you ever been to Atlanta, people have, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom houses. And they got a nice property line. Whereas, you sitting on that property line and you not got that nice backyard and everything like that. We need that property. And that's how you start to see a lot of people starting getting bombarded with a lot of people calling and aggravating them and coming in, knocking on the doors, peeping in the windows, putting cards in the doors, talking about, don't you want to sell your house and all that kind of stuff, or pretending to be their grandson. All kind of crazy stuff is going on here in Atlanta because you have hedge fund people and you have predatory real estate investors who see seniors as a form of, I'm going to take your house. And they're targeting Black communities in particular. It's ugly. It is real. It is just the way it is. And so I'm not saying real estate is a bad thing. It's good if it's done the proper way. But most of the time, in particular in low income, underserved communities, they're targeted. And you have people from out of town, Florida, New York, Virginia, Mississippi. I had nerve. Somebody from Mississippi had nerve try to call me. Talking about they want to buy my house. Are you kidding me? Get up, go away. But this is the kind of thing. And you can slam your phone down and say, oh, I don't want nothing to do with that. Or, yeah, I'm not answering that phone call. That will not stop them. And so what I did was I started to take in all the information I got from people in my community as well as what I had experienced myself. And I realized I do research. Data means everything. And I had a fellow to go through our tax rolls, our parcels, Fulton County, and just find out what are these people up against? How are they finding these people? And what they do is they actually go through the tax rolls and look at it, get your name and address, all the information, start, gathering information. And I was looking at, we have something called homestead exemptions, and I'm sure you have those too in Vegas or where you are. And what it is, it's a reduction in your property taxes. And I kept hearing people say, well, Miss Trimble, I don't know if I could pay my property taxes and I'm trying to pay I'm a hypertension medicine. This is real talk. This is what seniors are telling me that I can't hardly pay my property taxes. I'm behind. I don't know. I said, oh my goodness, I got to come up with a way that's for everybody. And I tell people that homestead exemptions help you reduce your property tax, but I don't know what that is. That's what that is means that, those Jordans, those Air Jordans that you paid $150 for, that's retail. What if you could buy those same Jordans at wholesale? $75. Oh, I understand that. Okay, now you understand what homestead exemptions mean. That same property tax that you having to pay every year. If you were to what? Apply for homestead exemptions, you can get that reduced. What? Yes. And it's amazing how financial literacy is not spoken or talked about around the dining room table in Black homes. It is not. We'll talk about Beyonce and, what Kim and Kanye and them doing. We'll talk about all that kind of mess, which is, of no value to anybody. But when it comes down to talking about, well, it's the truth. When it comes down to talking about things that's going to benefit you, we don't talk. That's taboo. We don't talk about money. We don't. And this is our culture, and we got to get out of that. So, and how I even got started with this, I am a victim of heirs property, meaning that on my father's side, my grandmother had a house, very nice house, and there's white people living in it now. Yes, by right, that's my house. But because she died without a will. One, that the woman was stupid because she worked for the railroad and she drove a brand new Cadillac. And anytime it needed good detail, old girl would go get her new. So she wasn't stupid. She had a nice home, nice furniture, all that. She just died without a will. I'm an only child. She had two sons, my daddy and my Uncle Lonnie. Uncle Lonnie was gay. So no babies came out of that. So it was just me. So when my daddy died, I replaced him as part of the lineage. Somehow or another, it broke down. Don't ask me how, I don't know. But she left out of here without a will, and I end up living in the projects. How unfair is that? That is wrong. That should have never happened, but it did. And I said to myself, once I became of age and realized what was going on and I got exposed to the truth, and this is what I'm giving you is the truth. I realized, who else is in this situation? instead of being bitter, and I was bitter because houses are going for $400,000 here in Atlanta. Yeah, I could have turned that house into an Airbnb. I could have leveraged it to go to college without a student loan. Could have been a number of things could have been done. Also, me living in it. That didn't happen. I can't go dig her up and say, Grandma, why don't you look out for me? I can't do that. But what I can do, I can make sure that other people and other children like myself are not subject to this kind of foolishness. And so I thought about not only my understanding, but get myself surrounded around people because real estate is a legal matter. It's not a family matter. And you ought to hear the horror stories of people putting their heads together, mom and them putting their head together. Oh, I tell you what, I'm gonna put paper on the deed, stuff like that, or down without a will. They have no idea. They have created an absolute mess. When you die without a will, this is what happens. I'm gonna tell you how it goes. And I have a thing in my workshop called, it's an upcoming workshop, and we're gonna talk more about that. But it's called Heirs Property Prevention and Estate Planning Virtual Workshop. Now I'm gonna tell you what it is. I already talked to you a little bit. But when I say you can't take it with you, that's exactly what I mean. I never seen a U-Haul come behind a hearse. Never. Just can't look, you just can't take it with you. In Black communities, seniors are dying without wills or leaving their homes to multiple beneficiaries, which causes heirs property. Heirs property owners, and this is what you got to get, face an increased risk of forced sale and eviction. Cannot sell or mortgage the property unless all heirs agree. Do not qualify for home rehab programs. May not qualify for homestead exemptions to reduce property taxes. In essence, heirs property causes this. This leads to seniors being displaced at an alarming rate, and it causes neighborhood destabilization, generational wealth interruption, and blight in Black communities. And it's not just in Atlanta, it's where you are, it's in LA, it's in New York, it's in California, it's everywhere. It has got to stop. We have got to wake up. I'm tired of the word, oh, I'm woke. I'm woke. What do you mean you woke? What are you talking about? I'm woke. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, and I tell people, I'm going to keep it real. Unless them white folk downtown say you own your property, you don't own your property. When I say the white folk, I mean the county. Whatever county you live in. And how do you do that? They don't understand that will, just because you wrote it on a napkin or mama them wrote something on a napkin, leaving it to her children and left it in the junk drawer in the kitchen, it is not valid. You have to probate that thing. Oh, probate. Oh, I don't want no probate, probation. They equate that with, failure to appeal, outstanding warrant, what probate. Oh my goodness, I don't want nothing to do with that. No, different thing. Probate just transferred from the dead to the living. And until you do that, you don't own that property. So that's why I break it down. I tell them you got to do this thing right because this is a legal matter. Same thing if you found a lump somewhere in your body. You don't go doctoring on yourself, do you? You go to the doctor to see about it, correct? Same thing when it comes to your property. You go to an attorney and get that thing situated. You don't just do stuff. And a lot of things that we're doing is wrong, and they know it. And predatory real estate investors just sit back and say, okay, now, that person been dead for 20 years, but somebody's been paying them property taxes. The family is paying the property taxes. But in Fulton County, they hired somebody to go through the parcels and remove dead people. Listen to what I'm saying. The county's job is to collect taxes, period. However they get it, they're going to get it. And they're going after people who have been paying up under mama dumb name for 20 years. Taxes, interest, penalties, and fines. And they'll go back 15 years on you. And they'll say, I'm going to need $15,000 right now. You got 30 days to come up with it. Huh? I ain't got no I ain't got no fit. Well, we're gonna sell your house on the courthouse steps. This is happening. Again, I told you, God ain't making no more dirt. We're getting you up out that house. We're getting you up off those nice, that 3/4 acres that you sitting on. We're gonna get you up out of that. That's what's happening.
Let me ask
And
you a question. When you talked about a will, and I just want to say for the audience, we are not attorneys. You always want to consult with your attorney. When you
absolutely.
talk about a will versus, and you didn't mention a trust, what
Hmm.
I'm finding, a trust is better to avoid probate. Do you agree or disagree?
No,
Or,
ma'am. Probate
okay.
is though probate. Probate is a necessary thing you got to do. And people say, "I just don't do a trust," but that means that's great if you and your family get along very well, and all the people in the trust get along just very well, But you know your children. You know they didn't get along when you was alive. How they gonna act when you? Come on now. Let's keep it real now. Okay. So that's good in terms of, and like I said, I'm not an attorney, but the simplest and the most effective way is a will. Then we can go off to the side over here, start talking about trust and all that, kind of family trust and all that. And it's held by the bank. The bank, normally you would put it with the bank and let them keep up with it and all that kind of thing. That's all well and good. Okay. But that's not in lieu of a will. We may go that route, but wills is specific and dedicated and it's what you want. And in my workshops, we don't just talk about wills because we don't really get into the trust thing. That's going a little extra, and that may or may not be for everybody. The other part was that when we do the estate planning, that creates your generational wealth. That's how it gets started. But you don't stop there. Like that young man in Buffalo that was hit in the chest and fell out. He was dead for a couple of minutes. He's 24 years old. See, we don't have a will. You could go out at any time, anywhere, and then there's a mess. Why don't you get your house in order? Be prepared and get it done. The other thing is that we talk about healthcare directives. What if you fall out and you have a stroke and you can't speak for yourself? Who's going to take care of you? You got to think about these things and have these things in place and in production. And then you don't have to worry about them no more. It's done. You move on to other things, get on with your life. Because that's a necessary part. You don't get to say, well, I'm just going to bypass this. No. If you don't handle your business, someone will handle it for you. And it may not be what you want. So we talk about not only just wills, we talk about healthcare directives. We talk about what if happens, let's say you get in a car accident and you can't talk. You may not want nobody to put you on a machine. If they done all they can for you, then let me go. But you have that option. You can say that. You can put that in writing and things like that. That's what we call dignity. So you still have some say about who and how things are taken care of in terms of your life and how you want to be treated, living or however. And you make sure that your children, I don't know about you, but I don't know when most women suffer having babies for 9 months and then just let them do. You work with them, you raise them. You don't want to see your children suffer, right? You want to make sure that they're taken care of throughout. Will you here now, well beyond you, and that's what legacy means. And it's very important that we as Black people continue. We've come a long way, but we can go a lot further. We can do a lot of things, and we have the ability to do it. It's just a will. Just go ahead on, get it done, and make sure that that child don't have to suffer like I did because of the fact, and I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people that's like me.
Someone's listening and you're doing this in Georgia. I know you said you're doing it virtually. Someone else is out of state.
Mm-hmm.
What should they do?
Well, they can attend my workshop, and it's on Eventbrite or Zoom and all that kind of stuff. You're more than welcome to, and I'll give you the info. But here's the deal: most states have something. They have some type of homestead exemption. They do. Most states do. But just because we don't take advantage of it, that don't mean it don't exist. Okay? So it takes some work to find out what's going on. And they're not hiding it. The county don't promote these things, but it's the same. And all states have something that you can use to help you reduce your property tax. You can do that, and if you can, that's putting cash back into your pocket. But you don't have to put money in. That's cash back. So that helps you mitigate some of the rising inflationary things that we're seeing now. But you need to do everything you can possibly can to maintain your home, keep your home in your family name, and use it and talk about it and teach the young ones coming along so that everybody can benefit from that. But this is countrywide. And I don't know nothing about Puerto Rico. I don't know anything about that. But, the 50 states, they do have all kinds of programs and things. It's just a matter of saying, you know what, let me just go on the county website or the state website and let me just look up some stuff. Put in a couple words, homestead exemption, put in property tax reduction. Property tax appeals is another thing that we talk about. People like property tax appeals. What if you get something you don't like? What? Yeah, you can challenge that. That's an appraisal. You can challenge that property tax appeal. You can challenge your property taxes. And sometimes you actually win it because you say, I got a three bedroom, two and a half bath house. That mansion down on the corner there should not raise my property values up. That's what's happening. That 1.5 sitting on the end lot down there that they just put in, you got a couple of them on your street. Guess what's going to happen? Your property tax is going to skyrocket. And you haven't done nothing to your house. Nothing. Are you ready to deal with that big whopping bill you're going to get? Are you? Then if you cashed up, don't worry about it. Turn me off and go about your business. Okay, boo. But if not, you better listen up and listen real good to what I'm saying here. Get on this thing. Every county has a window of opportunity. Tax assessment. I'm telling you what I know. We get this thing in May and June here in Georgia. I'm sure that Nevada gets it in whatever. It's called tax assessment. And I used to get it. I didn't know. It was said, this is not a bill. I was, oh, thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. That's not a bill. I'm not worried about it. Ooh, let me put that down. I ain't got to worry about that. You go, throw it away. I don't know. Till I became aware. Oh my God. That tax assessment is what the county says about your property. You must pay attention and read that thing from the top to the bottom and understand every word on it. Because that's what they say about your property. And it gives you an idea what your upcoming property tax will be. And it's generally pretty close. It also shows you your valuation of your property. You'll see that your property used to be worth, $78,000 now it's worth $250,000. What? That's what they're assessing. And that's what they're going to assess your property tax on, whether you've done anything to your house or not. So if you say, well, I don't think that's my house, that my house ain't worth that, challenge it. But you have a small window of opportunity to challenge it. It's 45 days. From the date that tax assessment went out, you must get that opportunity and apply. And I have people that teach about how to go about the proper way of challenging that property tax valuation. And that also helps bring down your property taxes as well. So those are the kind of techniques that we talk about in the workshop that we educate people on. Because I tell people, getting home reductions and tax reductions not based on the color of your eyes or the texture of your hair. I have yet to see, this is only for blue-eyed, blonde-haired people. I've never seen that. It's not. Knowledge is power. No, applied knowledge is power. Get on it, go on the website, check it out, and start working. April 1st in Georgia, in Fulton County, is when you can apply for these homestead exemptions, where they'll take effect this year. We're already in February. You got February and March. April 1st, in most counties and most states, is around that time. So you got about 2 months. Start getting your documents, getting your paperwork. Go on the website, find out what you got to have. Get all that stuff ready. Get your tax return. Get that done. Get that in. It doesn't hurt. They're not there to punish you or anything. And they will put the information in. The computer system will figure out what homesteads you are eligible for, and they would apply it. And I can tell you, the first time I did that, I was 62. I got my property taxes reduced by 1/3. That is a fact. 1/3. I'm 65. I'm going to go down there again and apply for some additional property tax reductions. This stuff works. It's a fact. You can't tell me it don't, because if the only thing it didn't have, you didn't do it. You just didn't do it. And get your paperwork, like I said, get your paperwork, take it down there. And if you're a veteran, I know in Fulton County, veterans get an additional. If you're disabled, you get additional exemptions. All these things stack up and they chunk it down. They bring down these property taxes where you can manage them. You can put your money on other things you need to do besides putting it on that. And why not use it? And I'm telling you something. We have people here in Atlanta. We have very called buckhead. I guarantee you, they're using everything they possibly can to reduce their property tax. Black people don't use it. And I have done research. Come to find out they have no exemptions. We have thousands of people in Atlanta, as expensive as it is, have no exemptions at all. None. And I have been doing these, workshops to bring people to the awareness. Not only you don't have an exemption, you're paying wholesale when you shouldn't be. You should be paying retail. You should be paying wholesale, not retail. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's just because you don't know. And that's what Grandmama's house is about. Grandmama's house. And the reason why it's called Grandmama's house, because Papa died 20 years ago of a massive heart attack. He did. Grandmama is the one who is left, her and the family, her and the kids. So if I can get Grandmama, get her straightened out of here, get her understanding, okay, now we're working with it. Now we got something going. Now it's starting to filter out to the rest of the community. Okay, it doesn't hurt. It's not painful. Oh, yeah. You can see it, but you can see it right then. Cash back in your pocket.
You said something, Charnette, when you talked about Grandmama's house and you're talking to grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of grandmothers are not tech savvy. And so how are you reaching that underserved community? I know you said that you canvass, and I'm speaking to those that are listening that are tech savvy, but there's a lot of boomers that's not online that don't even enjoy technology. So how are you reaching them?
Well, I'll tell you what, I used to do in-person workshops. And I used to walk the streets and pass out flyers and put them on their mailboxes and all that kind of thing. And then the pandemic happened. And I had to pivot. I used to hate that word pivot because it means change. I had to change everything, the way I did stuff, the way I set up things. Oh my God, I had to rewrite the whole program, which I did, and to do virtual. And I said, I'm not shutting down because the word that I'm putting out, I need to get this out and I don't care. So I just made it virtual. And I found out seniors are all virtual. They are. And I know I hear, well, Miss Trimble, you're not reaching everybody. Well, you know what? And I say this, and I'm being honest. If Big Mama or Grandmama, whatever she want to call herself, Nene, if she can buy crap off of Amazon, she can go on here and do this, right? I'm just being real. No, ma'am. No. I wasn't going to put myself at risk to COVID or no one else. And no one else should have to do that. But they order things off of Amazon. Yes, they do. And the way I have set up, it's always Eventbrite. One click, you're in. Just one click. That's it. I had one woman call me and tell me, I don't do Zoom. I said, oh, is that so? I said, now, there is 10 numbers in my phone number, correct? Yes. I said, you called me using all those numbers. Guess what? It took you more finger clicks to call me and tell me how you don't do Zoom than it took to attend my workshop with one click, with one finger. Oh, that shut that down. Oh, yes. Are you going to do it again? No, that was done. I shut all that down because she knew she was wrong. You took your normal things, that one click, and that's how I got it so easy. And when people do it, they like, wow. And I do them on Saturdays, mostly because her adult children are not working on Saturday. It's a thought process behind this. So if you have your 75-year-old mother and you're an adult child, y'all can sit down there together. In fact, I wish you would do that because you need to know what mama's doing so you can carry on the family legacy. This is what you need to do. I'll need to sit down and see what it is that we're talking about so that if mama don't understand or don't quite get it, you're right there to work with her. I know that's where it was with my mother. Yes. When mama got down, I took over. And we had a saying, if my daughter don't, I don't sign nothing unless my daughter see it. That's just that's how we had to work that thing. You got to come together on what you're going to do. With her medications, I knew what she had to take, when I had to take her. I talked to the doctor. So I have an understanding. It's the same thing about your house or her house. Make sure you understand what's going on with that. Make sure you are aware of mama's business so that you and her work together. And that's why I do the workshops on Saturday so that adult child can also attend and then they can sit down once the workshop's over. And besides that, we also have, and I talk about legal things, I have a legal clinic. All my workshops have a legal clinic, meaning we have something called Legal Aid Atlanta, and they're all over the United States. So if you get to the workshop, you don't quite understand, I mentioned something or something was said about, oh, I'm not real sure about this homestead. I'm not sure about property tax appeal. I need a little more work, need a little help. All she has to do is what? Send her email. I forward that to Legal Aid Atlanta. She schedules herself or himself to speak with attorneys. They're pro bono attorneys. More than happy to assist you and help you. That's what we're talking about. If you don't quite get it, it's okay. There's people there to help you, and they have help, and they get you straight now. I do the whole 360. The whole 360.
Speaking of legacy, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as that child that was the heirs property child that actually is doing something about heirs property because it has a crippling effect from the grave all the way to the living. And if you don't understand that, this also is economically terrible for Black communities. There's a reason why they look like they do because of the fact economically, local governments want to come into a community. They want to. They want to upgrade. They want to bring in amenities. But because heirs property is an obstacle to economic development and community stability throughout Georgia, and is the number one cause of blight in low-income, underserved communities. That boarded up house with kudzu growing on top of it, that's blight because the family died without a will. They can't get along. They're not paying the property taxes on it. And the investors are picking it up pennies on the dollar. And when I talk about earlier about can't get rehab program, that's when they usually, there's going to be a $30,000 grant program. I can get my roof and I can get my plumbing fixed. And grandmama really applies for it. It's really disheartening to find out you have a lien on your property, ma'am. You don't qualify. We don't know who owned your house. It's in your dead husband's name. What? Yeah, because you done what? You didn't probate. We don't know who you are. We don't know who owns the house. This is when people find out they don't own their house. That's not the time when you don't want to do this. You want to have that stuff already situated. So when COVID money was coming through, or when they have other programs that they want to come in and they say that we want to do some things in the community, you can now what? Put your paperwork down, it'll go through. What Black people don't understand is when you apply for these programs, they'll do a title search on you. Yes, a title search. This is real. They will find out whether you own loan, you have a lien, whether you owe money to the city, water bill. If you got an outside water property, water lien, nope. You gotta have no encumbrances, none. No tangled titles, none. It must be free and clear. Then you can participate in some of these programs. I'm sick and tired of hearing about what I could have, but maybe them people down there, they give Black people. No, it ain't. It's no. No, you just not ready. You're not up to par. Stop giving these excuses. There's no such thing as that. We don't have time for this. We don't have time to keep going back and forth. we are getting economically further and further behind as Black people, and we need to put an end to it. How do we do that? We start with grandmama, we start with big mama, we start with the head. And when the head gets out, the body must follow, meaning her children. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is that we as a whole, as I want to be known, as you can see my shirt, is the logo. Grandmama's house is very important. It maintains the family. It's the glue. And it's not just a place of nurture. It's a place of refuge. We have to hold on. And I tell people all the time, it's a get out of jail card too. What? Yeah, it is. Let Bubba get down there and get on jail. He can't. You can bond him out with that deed. But if you ain't got no deed, you can't get him out. You understand me? If that woman is in a domestic violence situation and she got 3 kids, grandmama said, come to this house. You don't have to stay there. It's a place of refuge. You come here, you and them 3 kids. You can sleep on the sofa. I'll make a pallet for you. Whatever you need to do. But you'll have a roof over your head and you can get back on feet. If you lose your job, come on home. It's everything to the Black family, to the family. It's grandmama's house. And if we hold on to that, that's what we can do. We can leverage that house. You can even get a home loan and fix your house up. That smart child that's real intelligent, instead of a student loan, leverage the home. Send them to school scot-free. Now they can come home and start a business. That kind of thing. Use the house. Don't lose the house. That's my whole point. I can get so many people saved and so many Black people holding on and moving forward. That's what I want to be known. That's who I am.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
Oh my God. I'm ready for that. Wow. That's hard. Why did you do that? Why did you become an entrepreneur? And I would say that being an entrepreneur is kind of a form of insanity. It really is. Because of the fact I'm a Sarah Blakely Foundation entrepreneur, woman entrepreneur, the Spanx lady, self-made billionaires. And her headquarters is in Atlanta. But anyway, I was selected as one of the women entrepreneurs that they sponsored. But here's the deal. At the ceremony where they welcomed us, they did us a beautiful job. We had lunch and we had all kind of people who would come and meet and greet us and all kind of stuff. But she was on stage and she was talking about her journey. How she started out with $5,000 she had saved, and she grew it into this $1 billion company, Spanx. And she was talking about how she got started. And she said that being an entrepreneur is like building an airplane in midair. And I leaned over to one of the other young ladies that was one of the women entrepreneurs like myself. I said, yeah, she's crazy. That girl crazy. I was laughing. I said, who does that kind of stuff? Who in the world? Because I was just imagining this visual of somebody that's, doing this crazy stuff in the middle. They trying to put the nose on, they put the wings on, and they doing stuff in the middle. Like, who would do something crazy in the midair? What are you talking about? That's nuts. Well, when it came my time to launch Grandmama's house, it was like that. You start out with just knowing enough. And you have no idea what you're going to encounter. You don't know. So it is like that. Midair. Grandmama's house didn't start out the way it is. Basically, it was made out of chicken wire and held together by duct tape and chewing gum. That's how it was. And I launched it anyway. Just jumped off the cliff and just boom. And you have to fix things and you have to do things and you tweak it and you do all this kind of stuff. But eventually, it gets to be what you started out being, but because you stay the course, you don't give up, and you actually work it through. But the only thing I can tell people that it held me together, it kept me going, because the midair is real. Admit it is crazy, but it's true. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. If you assume 100% responsibility for everything you experience, you will have 100% power to create the life you choose. Then you will be the source of your health, romance, and economy. That has helped me So right or wrong, I take it on me. If I mess up, okay. Well, if I get it right, it's still me. And if you do that, you really do have power. And no one can take that from you. And I hope people take that to heart because it is true. It's not fate. And another thing I believe in is seed time and harvest. You plant your seed and you reap the harvest. You don't get them in the same season. So you got to be patient to understand what the seed is doing. The seed has to go down in the ground and be covered over in the dark. And that's the entrepreneur. You're going to be in the dark. You're going to be alone. You're not sure about any of that. You're not even sure about yourself anymore. It's because so much is going to come against you. But what people see is like the iceberg of success. What they see is the tip. They have no idea what's been going on underneath. What's been going on underneath is failure, disappointment, loneliness, determination, grit, all the things it's going to take for this to happen. But failure is part of it. And people don't understand that people are like, oh, this is not for me. This doesn't work. But I trust you, men. And God gave you the knowledge and he told you to do this thing. He gave it to you. Trust me and believe. He will equip you. He don't send you to do something without equipping you with everything you need. It don't look like you got nothing. You don't look like you got none. You ain't got nothing to work with. It's just you and this vision that you got. Yeah, you have a vision. Write it down and run with it. That's Habakkuk. I may not be saying it right, but that is true talk, is real talk. Write it down and run with it. Don't let nobody tell you different. God gave you the vision. He didn't give them the vision. He gave you. It's all right to ask for advice, but in the end, believe in what you do and trust you me, you'll get there. And that's how I see it.
Thank you so much, Charnette Trimble, for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you, and leave all your social media handles, and feel free to let them know the link or how they can connect for the Eventbrite.
Okay, let me copy that. Okay, now, let me see now. Here we go with chat. I should know this because I do this all the time. Let's see. We should have everything that shows to everyone. And I'm going to hit enter. And do you see it?
I have it. And so what I'll do is put it in the show notes. And so for those that are listening, you can definitely connect with Charnette Trimble at 678-304-9680. And that's at Grandmama's House.
.org.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And that's your handle at grandmamas.org.
Yes, that's Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. And above that, you'll see it says Heirs Property Prevention and Estate Planning Virtual Workshop. That link right there will take you to Eventbrite. Doesn't matter to me if you're in Vegas, if you're in California, whatever. Just be mindful that the time is Eastern time. So you need to convert that. It's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern. February 25th, but whatever time that is and wherever your area is, just make sure be mindful of that. But everyone is welcome to come and learn about heirs property and how to prevent it, because it is very important that we hold on and pass it on. And I guarantee you, once you hold on and pass it on, now you can start building other assets. And that's what we're all about. We're in the people building business. That's what Grandmama's House is about. So I look forward to having people from out of state join me. I love to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.